was one scream. Wow, that was impressive. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am Molly and in this video I'm going to be listening to the album Minutes to Midnight by Linkin Park. Now I've been slowly diving into Linkin Park's discography here on my channel, and so far I've heard their first two studio albums, Hybrid Theory and Meteora, and I really enjoy how as a band Linkin Park fuses all of this aggressive nu metal style with a sort of hip-hop, really modern futuristic sound. And yeah, I've just been really getting into their music, so I'm really excited to hear their third studio album Minutes to Midnight that they released in 2007, and yeah, just see what I'm going to think of it. Alright, so up first on this album is track 1, which is called Wake. Got some really crackly static noises going on. Kind of sounds like you're tuning into a radio station. The intensity now is building up. Well, that was track 1, Wake. I guess they just had an instrumental song as kind of an introduction to this album. I liked the pairing, though, of that crackliness, kind of an unclear, staticky sound, with the instrumentals, which really contrasted with that. They had this really bright, sort of vibrant, crystalline sound to them. But I'm going to move on to track 2 now, which is called Given Up. There's a really noticeable heaviness to this one. I think it's that bass. It's really getting pulled down. I don't know what to take. Worst enemy, I've given up. I love that tambourine that they're using. It's like this really soft, twinkling sound in the background at times. Again, such a contrast with that heavy bass and all the intensity. That was one scream. Wow, that was impressive. That was track 2, Given Up. His vocal delivery on that one was so impressive. That yell there toward the end, man, it just goes to show how strong Chester's voice is. And instrumentally, I thought that one was actually kind of different compared to their first two studio albums. That one had that tambourine and the clapping at the beginning, and it had this markedly heavier tone to it, which I really liked. It kind of just dragged the song down, a little bit less of that sort of hip-hop, really modern style going on. But I'm going to move on to track 3, which is called Leave Out All the Rest.
I dreamed I was missing. I woke with this fear. What am I leaving?
I love how his voice was so intense on that last song, and then on this one now it's really soft and gentle.
When my time comes, forget the one that I've done. Your memory, leave out all the rest. Don't be afraid of taking my beating.
I love that little tone in the background. I don't even know what instrument that is. If it is an instrument, maybe it's just an effect they're using. It has such a clear tone to it.
When my time comes, forget the one that I've done. All the hurt inside you've learned to hide so well. I can't be who you are.
Kind of a strange little ambient ending to that one, but that was track 3, Leave Out All the Rest. I wasn't expecting such a soft song, I'll be honest. That one surprised me. I really liked it though, such a gentleness to it, a calmness, even though lyrically it was kind of a depressive song. I really liked the little infusions of stuff they were doing at the very end there. I was picking up on some cello, it sounded like, and then that really warm, vibrant tone I was talking about too. They just kind of keep throwing in these little dashes of instrumentals, which just add tiny little elements from time to time that I'm really enjoying. Okay, moving on to track 4 is Bleed It Out.
Yeah, here we go for the 100th time. Hand grenade pins in every line.
Okay, so that ambient ending from the last track, I guess they kind of dragged into the start of this one with all of these people and voices going on.
I bleed it out, digging deeper just to throw it away. I bleed it out, throw it away. I bleed it out. Go, stop the show, choppy words in a sloppy flow.
Okay, so this song is finally reintroducing that sort of hip-hop style that Mike really brings to their sound.
When they bring that chorus in, I bleed it out, digging deeper just to throw it away. Bleed it out. I've opened up these scars.
I love how on the line, I've opened up these scars, his voice really did open up. It just got so big and grand with its sound.
I bleed it out, digging deeper just to throw it away. Bleed it out.
That was track 4, Bleed It Out. That was a really interesting one. It almost to me was a continuation of Leave Out All the Rest, even though it was much more upbeat and intense with its impact. Both songs utilized that sort of ambient quality of the people in the background cheering and clapping and that tambourine. They kind of weirdly had a lot of crossover with like the instrumentals and everything that they were using. But moving on to track 5 is Shadow of the Day.
Close both locks below the window. The sun will set for you.
I think I've heard this song. This sounds vaguely familiar, this chorus here.
We'll embrace the world in gray.
And again, that tone in the background, it's just a really unique sound.
Sometimes goodbye's the only way set for you.
Chester's voice, man, it's just got such a clear tone to it.
And the sun will set.
That was track 5, Shadow of the Day. I think that's my favorite song off of this album so far. I was just totally enraptured in the tone of it. Just very streamlined and clear, like a very steady track. Chester's vocal delivery too, I thought was fantastic. He was bringing a sort of intensity to it, but keeping it pulled in enough to kind of maintain that calmness that I was talking about. Up next is track 6, which is called What I've Done. I just very faintly heard, it sounded like a police siren there for a second.
In this farewell from the truth of 1,000 lies.
I like the piano in this one too. It's adding this really great melodic touch.
What I've done, cross out what I've become.
Even though there's a lot of intensity to his voice and everything, they're still keeping a sort of calmness to this track. That was track 6, What I've Done. I really loved how smooth that one was. Very calming to listen to. And then at the very end there, those vocals they brought in were kind of different. I wasn't expecting that. Kind of a bunch of people singing along at the end. So far, they're definitely kind of leaning in more of a melodic rock direction on this album, it seems, and a little bit less of that hip-hop sort of nu metal style. But moving on to track 7 is Hands Held High.
Turn my mic up louder, I got to say something. Healing the blind, I promise to let the sun in. Sick of the dark ways we march to the drumming. In the living room laughing like, what did he say?
Again, they're bringing on those multiple vocalists. It kind of has this church choir quality to it.
It's ironic, at times like this you pray, but a bomb blew the mosque up yesterday. Scared and angry like, what did he say?
I really like the percussion on this one. It just has this very minimalistic yet precise sound to it. It's almost militaristic in a way. That was track 7, Hands Held High. That one was definitely all Mike. It sounded like him on lead vocals with that one, and it definitely had more of that hip-hop style. However, it was still pretty pulled in, like it was melodic hip-hop. Hybrid Theory and Meteora just brought a lot of punchiness, a lot of intensity, and on Minutes to Midnight, it's kind of like, this track's gonna be hip-hop, this track's gonna be metal, and we're not really gonna fuse them as much. That's kind of what I'm picking up on with this album. It's almost a little bit more disjointed in a way. Moving on to track 8 is No More Sorrow. Man, that percussion, it just has such a big impact to it.
Are you lost in your lies?
There's so much heaviness to this one. I like it. It's just kind of bringing this really big, thunderous quality. Yeah, and with this song, there's more of a snarliness from Chester's voice. It's not quite as clear as he's had it on some of the other tracks that have been more melodic. That was track 8, No More Sorrow. Chester's voice, it just never gets old. God, he just brings so much intensity to it. He gives it absolutely everything. And that percussion was for sure standing out again. Kind of like how I mentioned on that last song, Hands Held High. It sort of had this really militaristic precision to it. They kind of brought that onto No More Sorrow as well. But up next is track 9, which is called Valentine's Day.
My insides all turn to ash. A black wind took them away. I used to be my own protection.
See, his voice is so gentle on this one. It's such a contrast to that last song.
A black wind took you away, and the clouds above moved closer, blowing, blowing.
That song just changed up a little bit. It's like the vocals just stopped.
So now you're gone, the day was wrong. On a Valentine's Day, a Valentine's Day song.
That was track 9, Valentine's Day. I noticed on that one the drums were quite different than they have been on the last two. It kind of had this really hollowy, sort of echoiness a little bit to it, almost more of a softness, and Chester's voice was mimicking that as well. He brought a lot of tenderness to his voice with that track. Up next is track 10 called In Between.
Let me apologize to begin with. Between my pride and my promise,
I like these layers of instrumentals that they keep adding on.
let me apologize for what I'm about to say. Between my lies and how the truth gets in the way, the only thing that's worse than one is none.
Yeah, even these tracks with Mike on this album, they're just keeping them pretty calm.
Worse than one is pride and my promise. The only thing that's worse than one is none.
That was track 10, In Between. Again, such a very different style for Linkin Park than what I'm used to. Not only did you have Mike on lead vocals throughout that whole track, but it just yet again had such a relaxing calmness to it. That one I really enjoyed all of the layering that they were doing. They kept kind of adding on these tiny little elements to build that track up. But moving on to track 11 is In Pieces. sounded like just a tiny bit of distortion there for a second on his vocals.
So I won't be the one, and regrets don't lie.
This song is so interesting. He was bringing a lot of intensity there on his vocals, but the instrumentals didn't really match that. They stayed very pulled in and minimalistic.
You wrap me in your arms, so I won't be the one. Regrets don't lie.
Alright, we got some electric guitar going on. They just keep introducing a new instrumental. Each time it comes in, I'm like, what am I listening to? I don't even know. It's a new sound. That was track 11, In Pieces. I had a lot of fun listening to that one because it just kept introducing new things. Yet again, like I've been saying across this whole album, they were keeping it pretty pulled in. There was something weirdly relaxing about it, and yet at moments they would bring a lot of intensity. I loved that part there at the start of that song where his voice all of a sudden got really intense, but the instrumentals stayed exactly the same. They stayed really minimalistic. I just found that to be so unexpected. But moving on to the final song on Minutes to Midnight is track 12, which is called The Little Things Give You Away. I love how we had that really screechy industrial sound and then this acoustic guitar comes in. So it's such a contrast.
Through the windows, up the stairs, the levees are breaking. All you've ever wanted, 6 feet underwater.
I love how the lyric was 6 feet underwater, and there is something kind of aquatic about this instrumental that they're using, like the sound of this song. It almost sounds like that radar blip when you're in a submarine or something like that. That's what it's reminiscent of.
Washed away, the levees are breaking. All you've ever wanted, underground now.
It just went from 6 feet underwater to now he's saying 6 feet underground. So does that imply that he was drowning and struggling and now he's dead? As in, like, no one was there to save him when he was underwater, so he ended up dying? Now it's like the song is just completely opening up with its sound. That was track 12, The Little Things Give You Away. I thought that one made for a really great ending to this album. It was very touching emotionally. It kind of had a somber quality to it. And I loved how they kind of took it from a pretty minimalistic start and then they just made it build up slowly and then it ended on a much more grand, just open note with its sound. Well, that concludes my reaction to Minutes to Midnight, the third studio album from Linkin Park. This album, I'm not gonna lie, really surprised me compared to their first two, Hybrid Theory and Meteora. This one definitely took things in a more heavily rock direction. They sort of slowed things down too. There was a strong softness and melodicness to a large portion of this record. I kind of wanted a little bit more of Mike's presence on this album though, I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of missing those punchy, fun hip-hop moments at times. They had that a little bit sprinkled on this album, but definitely less so than on their first two. I think track 5, Shadow of the Day, stands out as my favorite on this album upon first listen. I thought that song was absolutely fantastic, just really gorgeous and so smooth from beginning to end. But I'm really curious to see how Linkin Park is gonna evolve their sound from this third album, and I'm really curious now to hear the rest of their discography and just see what I'm gonna think of it. But yeah, as usual, thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned, and I will see you in the next video.